Welcome to Making Room, a podcast inspiring people to accelerate change by being a catalyst, honoring creativity, and acting with courage. We are making room for the greatest potential of our community.
Welcome, you are welcome here. Welcome to this open door, dear. Our hands are reaching out for you. The floor is clear and we've made room for you.
All right, welcome back to Making Room. This is so excited that we have got Jamie Horn in studio here today. And the reason for me, Jamie has been just such an incredible influence and person in my life. She's the general manager and trainer at Hygge Fit. She is the owner of 360 Method. She does incredible adaptive needs training work. And one of the things we said recently is one of our missions at Making Room is shining light on light. Having been in this community 20 years, I hadn't met a trainer quite like her approach. Her approach to bring out the best in people, to see their strengths, to not use fitness as a shame or a way to kind of bring people in based on their deficits, but to really tap into their greatest potential. I've seen her do it in a wide way of ways across this community. So we're in for a treat of a conversation. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Jeez. You're already making me tear up just with like the intro. Thank you so much.
Well, and I have to, because Shivani's mom said that my mask tends to fall down.
Called out.
If I move away from the microphone during the interview, it's because I have to do 3 burpees every time it happens. So there may be pauses throughout this interview for some wall sits and other exercises. So bear with us if you're
you hear
listening.
panting, it's John.
Yeah,
right.
I'm already panting because I did 3 burpees
Yes,
before we
you've already-
started.
Yeah,
So-
good form, though. Good form.
Yeah.
I'm going to start right off with this. This is a beautiful quote. You brought this as a gift, and there's no accident. So this is a quote Jamie brought us as a gift, and would love to get your thoughts on this. It says, "The planet does not need more successful people. The planet desperately needs more peacemakers, healers, restorers, storytellers, and lovers of all kinds." That's a quote by David Orr. So tell us when you read that, what inspired you to pick it up, and what does it mean to you?
Well, I think something that stood out to me immediately listening and watching as your podcast has evolved and the people that you have on here is that storytelling is a huge, gateway, almost pathway into understanding other people and also almost like experiencing life in a different way. And you all really do a good job at trying to bring that out in people, and I think it's really important. And it's not about, I want to go do this, this, and this, and make millions of dollars and be looked at as this I'm on top kind of person. Rather, you are all focusing on people's journey and journey to do good, not necessarily be like the most successful. And so I think that quote, as soon as I saw it, it's a little magnet. So you can toss it against something that it'll stick to. Yeah, there you go, your headphones. But I just thought, as soon as I read it, I was like, man, this is what they're doing here with this podcast. I feel like they should have it. So thank you for y'all for putting your hearts into something that is so needed and for caring about the peacemakers and the storytellers and giving people a voice and giving people space to kind of share. So we appreciate you.
Thank you for
That's
bringing
great. Yeah, and I just appreciate you saying that, actually, more so than the quote. I think we kind of need to hear that because we try to do that, but sometimes it's so easy to fall into the path of everything has to be successful. And I know we'll get to talking about it when we talk about kids and they need how much people pour into them. You got to be successful. And so I think it's good just to step back and say sometimes it's about the journey and it's about these stories and connecting.
Right.
More
And
so
I
than
think too it's about not necessarily I think everyone's version of success is going to look
That's right.
different. And
right.
so I think what that quote is basically saying is it's avoiding that kind of like that overall what's been drilled into
in
us
as
of like
success,
what
yeah.
success is. Rather, you all are finding success in the things that people might not have recognized as success.
That's right.
And that's what's important.
Yeah, and idea that, focusing on success versus like celebrating the journey, right? We
Right.
celebrate successes all the time, graduations and promotions and all the things, but we don't necessarily always celebrate the journey and the path that people took.
Right. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it just resonates so much because we've said a lot. This is a journey about. We joked on our prep call of like, yeah, hey, as an entrepreneur, I don't really know what I'm doing. Hey, neither do I, right? And we joke here that we're just on this journey of seeing what we're capable of, and we hope to activate that in other people. And I think one way you do that, just as you did by giving us this, is, really seeing somebody. And we've said that a lot, that deeper than care, than love is I see you. I see what you're about, and I see what you're capable of. And, a couple months ago when you had your event, I think it was the Charlotte, the foundation.
The CLT Foundation.
CLT Foundation. And there was a Saturday workout. And, most workouts I go of Jamie's, I love her workouts. They're fun, they're interactive, they're great workouts. But you also know there's a really great human on the other side, which I think we've said a lot too, like how things are made, how it's done matters in this world. And we're seeing it a lot with this generation coming up. But to be at a workout where I had never thought of how inclusive our workouts for people with special needs, how inclusive our workouts for somebody who's in a wheelchair. So when I'm sitting next to Caroline, who's a good friend of yours, and she's the one yelling burpees, I was, because I have that heart, as Shivani said, a superpower. I'm like doing burpees, half crying. I'm like, this is so meaningful. And I would just love to hear your inspiration, because that day, I could see it in Caroline that she felt seen. She was included. And it took someone with your eyes. And there's a great photographer that says there's eyes to see, and then the real eyes are the eyes that come from the heart. So where does that inspiration come for you to, include people of different physical abilities within your workouts? And I've seen you post on social media that it's one of the most satisfying things. So just curious, take us back to where does that come from in you?
Yeah. I guess starting in childhood, I remember being in school, even elementary school, always noticing people. And I didn't know that's what I was doing. Like, I just thought everyone did what I did. But I always wanted to be like the teacher's helper because I wanted to help the other kids. And so I was constantly saying, can I go help this person? Or if I saw someone that was, maybe struggling or even like acting out, I would say, like, can I go try something? Can I go help? And I think that's probably why I became a teacher. It was just like naturally in me. I just wanted to help people. But, and throughout kindergarten through first, second, up to fifth grade, I had a friend of mine who had Down syndrome, and we became pretty close, especially in fifth grade. And she and I, she'd come over and we'd hang out at my house and play. And I found I remember learning a lot. I was in fifth grade. So there were a lot of things that maybe at first I was a little bit uncomfortable or I didn't understand, but it made me just want to be around her more instead of being afraid. And from then on, just moving up through my schooling, I was always a nanny, always babysitting. I was always the teacher helper. Like, I would go to the middle school when I was in high school and just help out the middle schoolers. Or in middle school, I would go down to the elementary school and just to help the teachers down there, like after school for like a little bit. And it just always was a huge, satisfying space for me. And after, so I guess, going through high school, I graduated and I went into college. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I've known that for a really long time. I was telling John the story of growing up. I loved playing school. It was my favorite thing to do. And I would get home from school and I would run downstairs, and my mom had this big green chalkboard. I was like, remember chalkboards?
I love that.
Yeah.
And overhead projectors,
And-
yes.
I remember it was on my Christmas list one year, an overhead
Wow.
projector.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, come on, Santa.
That's great. That's great.
Pull through. So I would just go downstairs and teach basically whatever I was learning in school. I would teach it to my fake class,
Yeah.
and I would have like little grade books and pretend that, people were acting out, and I'd get them in trouble. And I'd grade fake papers.
So does
Wow.
Shivani.
Amazing.
Always getting me in trouble.
So it's just been something that's been ingrained in me for some reason. My 2 older sisters were also teachers, so it came from somewhere. My great, wow, this is something that we didn't talk about during our talk, and I'm glad it just came to my head. My grandfather, so my dad's father, worked on a farm, was in a farm, and he ended up being in a farming accident where his arms were severed. And then he was actually one of the first people, maybe in the area or in somewhere, to actually get like the hook on the end of his like artificial arms. And after that, he went back to school and became a teacher.
Wow.
Wow.
And so he was a teacher at the university, and he taught with his hook. And I see pictures of him like trying to hold the chalk, and he has his hook.
Wow.
And so like, I don't think I've ever made that connection of
Yeah.
Wow.
teaching and also working with people with special needs. So wow, that was a
Yeah.
revelation I just had.
Yeah.
So through college, being EC major, or exceptional children, special ed is what they called it back home. I think down here they call it exceptional children, EC. And I played softball there and did my schooling there. And from that point on, having to be in the classroom a lot, so you have to do like your student teaching and all of that stuff. So I was placed in all these different types of EC settings. So whether it's, I was in a self-contained room with 6 or 7 children with autism for a couple years, and I kept requesting just to go back to that setting. I thought after being there for a while, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to work with children with autism, and nothing could take that. Like I just felt like I needed to be there. And so then, oh gosh, should I keep going?
Yeah,
Well,
keep going.
I feel like
I think I just want to absolutely, but I'm really struck by the moment with your grandfather,
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we talk a lot about purpose and calling, because
Yeah.
I felt something there of like, wow, that is a revelation. You said those were your
Yeah.
words, right? To know as a young, there's no accidents, and so I'm just curious now, as you are doing this with clients, like what does that mean to you now, knowing more of what you just felt in the moment?
Yeah.
Related to, we talk a lot about purpose and meaning and why it's meaningful.
Yeah, I just think that it's inspiring to think about how an accident as traumatic as that probably was, that he was able to then persevere and to continue and then help other people. And it seems like I feel compelled to maybe return the favor. And this is a way that I could kind of do my part.
Yeah.
Well, I've got go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the other thing I just heard while we're taking a pause is that you're proximate to and near folks who had different needs, right? Going from your grandfather and realizing, which I'm sure, I'm just assuming that you looked up to him and you admired him just from the moment we had. And so realizing that someone who's held at such a high level in your eyes may have had special needs and others may not have viewed his ability in that same way. And then what that meant for your friend who, I mean, it probably meant the world to your friend to have a friend like that K through 5, which I'm sure that's so hard going through elementary school and certainly going through middle school. And then everything you're doing, like with your friend in the class that John mentioned. So I just, it stands out to me, just the being proximate then allows you to understand and calls on you to do more. And I guess to me that, I don't know how you react to that.
For sure. What I've learned of my grandfather was through stories.
Got it.
So, and there's probably so much more that I still need to know.
Yeah.
But I think I was always kind of tapped in and fascinated, almost
Right.
like, oh my goodness, like how could that have happened, and how did he do that? So almost like an admiration
Yeah.
through stories and even just picturing. So I do a lot of like, I kind of imagine people's life all the time,
Yeah.
and so I think I tend to do that a lot with people with special needs and picture their day to day, or if I'm putting dishes in the dishwasher, or if I'm reaching for something and going through my closet, and I think like, how do people who are in wheelchairs do this? Like how is my life different and privileged, and how do I kind of help people to see that there are ways to obviously function through life with those challenges, but I think it's important for able-bodied and neurotypical people to truly try to put themselves in the shoes of others in order to really understand. We're never going to fully understand,
Right.
but to at least see the other person.
As you're speaking, I can sense just the deep level of empathy that you have for people, but also that desire to like connect on a deeper human level, right? So even if it's a story about a grandfather that you haven't really had a chance to meet and you've heard only through story, but like imagining his life and then knowing that he was able to kind of become the successful teacher, I feel like you're also then translating that into what you do, which is really allowing folks who might have disabilities or need some certain adaptations to be able to live through their potential, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And
you.
and to get connected to that, I think one of the things you shared with us about when you were a teacher, that you would mix students up, right? And that I think one of the things that we all, whether it's a physical special need, whether there's brain needs I might have, or there's things physical and things you can't see that we all need, right? There's love, there's all kinds, and I feel like really what we all want to feel is we're okay, right? And we're normal. And I got a little kind of a surprise here for you. This is from one of your clients, Nick Sheehan. And I asked him about your impact on him. And he said, I'm one of Jamie's adaptive clients. And Jamie took the time to get adaptive certified to truly understand where I was coming from. Having someone take the time to do that means more to someone like me than they could ever understand. After losing my leg, it's been really tough getting back into the swing of working out again. Jamie pushed me in a positive way and taught me how to modify workouts so that I could participate in the larger classes and feel, quote, normal again. Jamie is so good at making everyone feel welcome and helps push them to the best possible version of themselves.
Oh, wow. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. That is amazing.
Yeah, if you need a moment. Yeah, and knowing his relationship now and what he does.
Yeah.
And
Nick was awesome. I think working with him was something that really kind of pushed me into action of knowing that like I wanted to do this, and I worked with him, and he was so wonderful, mostly at allowing me to ask so many freaking questions. Basically. But we worked together and through so many different obstacles in getting him back to moving well and all of that, and he trusted me and he let me do it, and I told him that from day one, just like, thank you for trusting me to help you get there. I knew he could, and I'm so grateful to be a part of that journey with him. He's incredible, and he's also doing incredible things for the adaptive community. He's starting a nonprofit called TAP, the Ability Project, that they're going to start doing all the things to provide kids and people with disabilities any adaptive gear that they may need in order to function like a able-bodied person in the ways that they should. And so I also feel that we kind of aligned for a reason. All of these people that are coming into my life, and him and his wife, and it's been wonderful kind of growing into this phase of my life with people like that. So thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
Sweet words.
That's great. That's great. Can I ask, just take a step back to tell us about all the different programs you have? I know you said each one of your adaptive clients, and just talk about the different methods and programs that you offer.
Yeah, so I just recently, like Nick said, I worked with Nick, and then I just began studying and got certified in it so that I was better equipped, more knowledgeable. I think still that the most knowledge was through working with him, the experience of working with him. I gained more knowledge than necessarily the program that I studied for. But, and so now the goal is I really want to help people with not only physical disabilities, but maybe other sort of special needs. So I'm looking into talking with different communities in Charlotte. And Bays and Bows is a new coffee shop that just opened up, and they hire all employees with special needs. And the second I heard that they were coming here, I emailed the owner, and I just said, you probably have no idea how I could help, and I don't have any idea how I could help. Just know that I'm here and I want to help. And so I'm planning to try to link up with them a little bit and get into other spaces around the community. And luckily, the fitness, honestly, has brought me closer to the community of special needs than when I was a special needs teacher.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
I think because of we do have a lot of nonprofits who support children and people with special needs.
Right.
And so we don't see the nonprofits necessarily in school. Our job is just to teach them. And fitness, the fitness community tends to always link up with nonprofits in just different ways of helping mass amount of people is kind of how fitness works. How can I help the most amount of people, and not always in the same way. And so I've just been connected so much with different organizations who are focusing on special needs through being a trainer and fitness classes and things like that.
Yeah, that's great. We talked about this before, that when you're walking or you're aligned in your purpose, you can make moves that don't necessarily make sense to a lot of people. Like you may think, well, how do you go from being a special ed teacher to being or EC teacher to being a trainer? And people might not understand it.
Yeah.
But when you talk about it, I mean, this was your purpose all along. Even when you had befriended that your friend in K through 5, you were always doing this, and it just takes different vessels, which is what we talk about. And it seems like you have found, or you're starting to find, a more effective vessel through training and working with people and building these connections with the community. Is that sort of how you feel with the transition shift? I know we were going to talk a little bit about switching from teaching to training.
I think it's teaching. It's very similar. So whether it's I'm teaching students or I'm teaching a group fitness class, it's teaching.
That's
and
true.
that's why
I'm going to get some burpees in real quick.
You need some teaching.
see, I'm always teaching fitness.
Yes.
John's doing
All
3.
sorts of strategies.
Yeah,
good
that's
form.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
For our
He
listeners,
successfully completed.
I did 3 burpees to make sure she was still teaching.
Yeah,
He's good.
got you. Good job.
He's going to rest now.
I'm going to be breathing heavy.
Yeah, so I think it is all linked together
Yeah.
so well, and John and I were talking about how being a collegiate athlete and how much sports and athletics is just ingrained into you, and leaving college after my sport was, I felt like taken from me.
Right.
I didn't really know what else I could do to fulfill that need for competition and health and wellness and fitness. And I knew I had to be a teacher because that was my my job.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started thinking, okay, what else can I do that incorporates more of like fitness into my life as a teacher. And so then I got certified in speed, agility, and quickness. And I started training different sports teams and kids and football teams and baseball teams and teaching them how to become quicker and faster. And I actually moved back home for a year and became an assistant coach for the women's basketball team as their conditioning coach. And then moved back to teach, and then that's when I got certified in different personal training, and then now it's the postpartum and the pregnancy and postpartum athleticism, and then the postpartum corrective exercise specialist. So I'm kind of like, I tend to want to go to the populations that maybe don't have all the support that they need, and that's just where I want to be.
That's incredible. I'm hearing you talk, and I'm thinking of like a laundry list of patients that I take care of that are, that have that have autism or have special needs, have certain physical disabilities, and it is really challenging to find the community spaces where they could thrive, and not just get therapies, which are really important, but also be able to kind of build strength and build community.
Right.
So I love that you're doing that, and I can't imagine that there are too many people that have the level of training that you do and are passionately pursuing it.
Oh, thank you. I know there are a couple of great organizations around Charlotte focused on fitness in the special needs community, and it's basically been the past 3-4 weeks, it's been coming like out of the woodwork for me of like different connections or people saying like, hey, I heard you're doing this is what we have. And so I think if anything, the fact that I am now more exposed to different groups around the city that I could actually help or participate in what they're creating, that would be amazing. But I think it's out there. We just need to do better at seeing it.
That's right.
And being that collaborator, right? I think about, how you've done, you've had DJs, you've worked with other trainers, and I think just that ability to, work in different environments, and, because fitness is, I will say for me, seeing all kinds of gyms, for some people, it's very individual focused. And when I was an athlete as well, you and I talked about this, there's sometimes a missing link in this cheering for each other, having that team environment, and then also not being so focused on what you look like. And, that working out is checking the box. And, having been a member at Huga Fit for a while, I just remember a quote, I think it was after Thanksgiving. And this was when I started to see kind of your approach, we say strengths-based in here, come alive, where you had a big meal yesterday, don't come tomorrow because you need to work off Thanksgiving. Come tomorrow because you want to feel good. Come tomorrow to see what you're capable of. I forget the exact quote, but tell us a little bit more about that, because your approach is not sometimes the mainstream. Sometimes people are focused on, well, let me have you fit into a box of the way this magazine says you should look. And tell us about your approach of kind of bringing out potential and strengths in people.
Oh. It's funny you bring that up now, because one of our members just posted something today, and she wrote a very beautifully written long post about how, she had a baby not too long ago, and she's back in the gym, and she just hasn't felt good and hasn't felt like herself, and basically how she has struggled in the past with eating disorders and exercise, unhealthy exercise behaviors, and how when she exited the room, and I remember saying this because it was truthful, she left and I just said, Melissa, you're looking really strong. And it's just something I would always say. And she wrote a post and she just said that obviously I didn't know, but that was a comment that she truly needed, and she needed to hear that, because she's been fighting those past demons of, the way she feels, the way she looks, and all of that. And now, and hearing that helped her realize her main purpose of why she's actually at the gym and what she's doing. And so, and I know we talked about this a little bit. What I've found is that, I guess, and even in like the last 4 years, maybe, we all have so much good to say about other people, and we don't say it.
You're right.
And, it might be simple, like, I love your smile when you walk in, or it's stuff that you're thinking that we don't tell people. So what I've been practicing is things that impact me in a positive way from someone, I want them to know. But we never know how much that's going to impact and help someone, but also they deserve to know.
That's
They
right.
deserve to feel good, and why keep things like that to yourself? And so I think that's my approach a lot of times with building relationships and talking with other people, is just trying to recognize their strengths and acknowledge the good that they do and all of that stuff. And it's important for me, relationships. I immediately trust. I immediately love everybody, and I don't go about it in the ways with ego, and I'm just not about that. You have to earn my trust, or you have to earn my friendship. It's the other way for me. And I think that's just how I approach business, how I approach life in general, and everything.
That's awesome.
Really great.
Well, it's clear in business. This is a quote from one of your business partners,
Oh, jeez.
Annie Linville.
Oh.
And Annie says, there
Don't
are
make me
people.
cry again.
He's good at that, by the way.
Jeez.
There are people you meet in life that cause the course of your path to change. Jamie is one of those people for me. If I hadn't met Jamie in my life, career, connections, level of success, and happiness would be very different from where I ended up. That means something to me. Jamie is an encourager, always a positive outlook, and an empath. She is the perfect balance of hardworking perfectionist and hilarious goof. I like that part. She is a friend that is there in an instant and always seems to know what you need without saying it. She does it all not for recognition, but because she's one of the kindest people I've ever met.
Oh my gosh.
So I just think we've talked a lot too about courage. It's one of our 3 things, is that courage sometimes is the character to honor your voice and values even when it's hard. Because it's hard sometimes, but you're just talking about being kind, and then that's exactly what Annie said.
That was very sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you, Annie.
And hilarious goof.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just tell us about, it's fun. I heard a podcast the other day where someone said it's hard to not be connected to someone that you haven't laughed with. We're here in a studio with Brian Waltashevitz, our Queen City podcast team, who's a comedian, and that's so important. I think it's it may sound simple, but just also being silly and kids, but that's something that's part of you too, right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I kind of feel more attached to someone the second we share a laugh than anything. And it's just how I want to approach everything. It's just, people are funny. Things are funny. And it's what makes, it's what brings smiles. That's the best thing that could happen from it. And I also don't like to take things too seriously. I think when we try to take work super seriously or take our mission super seriously, then we lose the ability to see the fun, the funny, the good, the lightheartedness, the stuff that actually makes the journey we talked about better. And it's like if you can make me laugh, we're friends forever. That's it.
Right.
And my one best friend and I always talk about good laughers, the importance of a good laugher. I'm sure comedians probably know that. But
Brian's smiling.
there's some people that are just good laugh. Like John, you're a good
Jonathan
laugher.
That was a bad laugh.
Sorry. I saw his face and I lost it.
But
Was that a
it's
good laugh or a
true.
bad?
Yeah.
That's a good laugh.
Okay,
That's
all right,
good.
Okay.
Kindness.
Not
Brandon.
insightful.
I'm sorry.
That's
John, I
insightful.
love your laugh. That's what I was thinking.
And I don't mean how attractive your laugh is. I mean a good laugher as in you laugh at stupid jokes, you laugh at really funny jokes. You're just a good laugher. You'll laugh at everything. And those people are just like clutch in your like ability to feel funny, and then you feel really cool.
Yes.
But no, laughter and the ability to just not take life so seriously is huge. Yeah.
I think it also
Shivani.
helps with when you're like, I'm imagining just your journey as well. And like when you are not so serious, you can be creative and like pivot and shift and be like, yeah, actually, I was doing this, but I also want to do this. And like allow yourself that space to be creative and pursue things.
Exactly. And it's almost a downfall in my situation sometimes is that I'm not very rigid with my thoughts. So then it's really hard sometimes to make decisions. Because I can kind of like see.
I don't know anything about that.
I tend to be able to conform or be able to like see different values and different things. And I'm like, well, can you guys stop giving me options?
Yeah.
Because I can't handle
It's all
this.
really important.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm trying to work on and being a little bit more clear with my and trust maybe my first thought or instinct or direction that I want to take and not necessarily try to see all angles. But I know that I can't stop myself from doing that. I'll just pretend that I'm working on it.
Well, Shivani is closetly one of the funniest people I know, and she won't. She's gonna shake her head, but she's quietly laughing because she knows.
I could
Who-
tell.
Yeah.
Who sings Frozen in a duet with her daughter,
Yes, we do.
or to Let It Go, right? That's what that was.
Let it go.
So, if you had to sing a duet or a song with your daughters, what would you sing?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Duet with my daughters. Well, that'd be a trio.
Trio. That's good. Noted. Well, Brian,
Work
can
on
we
the math
edit
skills,
that?
math skills.
Oh, he says no. A trio.
Still teaching. Still teaching.
Yes.
God, she's
Always room to
good.
Still
learn.
teaching.
Well, we had that plan to make sure you were still on your game.
Yeah,
So-
you were testing her. Yeah,
I
okay.
understood why you said duet, though.
Yeah.
That was a good thought, but the real word is a trio.
See, she sees my potential.
Yeah,
y'all.
that's right. Oh my gosh, I don't know. Maybe like something really cheesy.
Like Under the Sea from.
Oh, I was thinking like Spice Girls or like something like
Oh,
real
yeah.
cheesy.
That'd be good.
Yeah, not that they know who
Who
the
they were.
hell Spice Girls are, but I don't know. Yeah, probably just something goofy and funny.
Yeah. So with everything, like, speaking of stick with your girl. So like with everything that you sort of going through, athlete and training people, pushing people to be their best, and then also seeing people and knowing what they need at the right moment, as your client says. So how do you approach parenting and with the girls? Like how do you pour into them, and do you push them to sports and to be,
Yeah.
on the physical side or not, or just let them be?
Yeah, I think I might surprise people in like how opposite my approach is with my daughters than my clients or my members who come to my classes. I never want to force them into doing anything. And if they never want to pick up a softball, that's the sport I played. If they never want to pick up a softball, I would be 100% okay with that. It's because I know that in order to be truly happy and truly good at something, you have to love it.
Right.
And I'm never going to force them to love something because I did. And I also tend to give them more space to be wrong or make mistakes. I try not to be like an over helper. I want them to know that I always care and that I'm there and always will help them and all of that stuff. But I also don't want to necessarily cripple them by solving everything and fixing everything and all of that. So in school too, even being a teacher, I tell them like, I don't care about your grades. I don't care about your test scores. The first things I want to hear when you came home is, who did you help today? Who did you play with?
Yeah.
And what was the part of the day that made you smile?
That's awesome.
And my oldest is like, the first thing she wants to say is, I got 100 on my, and I'm like, I don't
want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it. Like, I'm proud of you that you worked really hard and that you did well for yourself, but let's hear about these other things. And then I have my youngest, who's almost the complete opposite personality. And she's like, my favorite part was lunch.
Yeah.
I
Chicken
chased
tenders.
Connor in a race and PE and I won. You know, she's just she was just
Yeah,
like
that's
more
good.
chill about it.
Yeah.
So that's basically
Yeah,
how I go
love
about
that.
it.
I love
Just
that.
teaching more about being a good person rather than being a child who just obeys everything all the time. We do a lot of whys and who is that affecting when you're doing this, and how might that make someone else feel, instead of go to timeout or go sit in the corner
Yeah.
or any other punishment.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
it's worked well for them.
I
So
love that.
Great.
We've talked periodically about like sharing our journeys with our children too. Of like,
Yeah.
I'm curious if they know like the training that you went to help certain type of people, and the interests that you have, and how that might change their view on the world because of the people that you're interfacing with.
yeah, I am always very vocal about what I do, especially with people with special needs. And I like to explain to them what I was doing and why. And I also have tutored one of my former students like 2 years ago. I've tutored him for the past 2 years as well. Continue to tutor him when I stopped teaching, because he just became part of our family. And his reward after we would try to practice his school and stuff was to play with my kids. And so, and they all loved it. And we bring him different places with us, and I try to explain to them as much as I can about the differences of people and what it could look like. And it's okay to wonder, and it's okay to ask questions. And they do now, which is great. We were walking in a store, they see someone that they can tell maybe is a little bit different than them. They'll say, "Mommy, what do you think? What do you think his brain is like? Or is this something that's, is this a disability?" And so I can explain it to them. And they're especially my oldest, she is a deep, deep feeler and empath, and she wants to know everything there is to know about someone who's different than her. And it's a blessing and a curse, because she gets hurt easily, and she cares deeply. She pays attention to people's eyes, and she's always like, "His eyes look sad. Like, I wonder what happened." And it's just, she's been like that for a really long time. But anyway, so I think she might be the kid who grows up to kind of follow in these footsteps. I see it in her big time, to be the helper.
Well, the healer and the strength, I think it's funny, I can see that interaction. We had a little concert at the house, and it was when I was taking piano lessons, and I was just starting. I didn't know what I was doing. And she came in, I'm playing Ode to Joy, and she probably could see in me that, a little nervous even in front of an 11, how old?
Yeah, she's 10.
And 10. And as soon as I'm done, she tilts her head and goes, "You're doing so good." And I was just like, that's Jamie's daughter. That definitely is her. Because she probably could see, and I think it's people like your daughter, like you, like what we're doing together, that's what gives me hope, is that we honor that. And I think to see someone is to honor who they are, and then also to understand. I love the curiosity. I think part of the change we need in this world is just having more curiosity. There's this awesome quote from a jazz musician, John Coltrane, I was reading this morning, and he says, "When you are playing with someone who really has something to say, even though they may otherwise be quite different in style, there's one thing that remains constant, and that is the tension of the experience. That electricity, that kind of feeling, that is a lift sort of feeling." And what I took from that is that when you have a different style, someone with an adaptive need, someone who might be a different background, there's a tension in something's happening. It's what's happened. It reaffirmed why we're doing this together, right? Why we're collaborating. And I guess as we close out today, what have you learned? How has working with clients in the way you do made you better? How has it grown you and stretched you? And anything else that gives you hope related to the work that you do?
Yeah, I think I'll tap into a little bit of the 360 method for this one. 360 method is this, I called it a mom thing for a while, and I guess I'll call it a business, this new business that we started. And working with pregnant and postpartum women. I had 2 kids and struggled with postpartum depression. I was anxiety, and that's the stuff that I see. I see space for need, and fitness and health and wellness kind of helped me get through some of that time. And so I now have this business of helping people who could be in that same situation and holding space for them so that they don't have to go looking, or they don't have to think that there is nowhere to go. And so working with these moms, soon-to-be moms, postpartum people, and helping them feel strong again and like themselves. I think people tend to feel like they became a mom, so they lose their name. They lose who they are. And it's easy to do that. It's very easy to do that. And we're trying to take the approach of, it's more important that you find yourself again, and then you're going to be the best mom that way. And so it's almost like I'm kind of reliving that experience through my clients. And when I see them feeling better, and I see their growth and their strength, and feel their confidence, and feel them kind of returning back to themselves again, it makes me feel like I'm healing in that way from where I was in that journey. And so that has, I think, working with in 360 method has helped me grow the most.
The pregnancy and becoming a new mom or another time mom is, I feel like, one of the most vulnerable periods of a woman's life, right? Where you're trying to do all the things to try and take care of this little person and make sure that when they're inside of you and when they're out, that you're like pouring into them, and then we forget to pour into ourselves. And then you can't be your best self if you're not taking care of yourself. And I know so many moms who just like have had that feeling of like, I don't feel like my body's just not doing what I want it to do, or it just doesn't feel good anymore. And I can't get back to that place where I felt good. So I love that you're focusing on that as well, because we need strong moms.
We do. And we can't rely on the moms to go after it for themselves. That shouldn't be their job.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough mom guilt, right? Like
there's enough mom guilt.
Yes.
It is not up to them to say that you deserve more. You deserve to feel good. They are, they shouldn't be saying that to themselves. It is about the community, your loved ones, your family members, your support system, to say, you need to do this because you need to feel good again. You deserve to feel good again. Go, speak with someone. You always want to make sure that your mental health is at the top priority, especially during pregnancy and postpartum. And then from there, like let all the positive growth things trickle down. But you need the support system to help push you there, because moms tend to try to handle it all in quiet, solitude way, because we're independent naturally. But that's when you need your team.
I love that you highlight that.
Thank you.
Having a team, I think that's so important. We've realized that more than ever, and what a team you are for so many people. And I think that's what we hope with this mission, is that in listening to you, people will extend their teams, people will extend their hearts, will expand what we're capable of as human beings. And I'd love to, as we close out, just hear where can people find you on social media? How can they work with you? And so we'll share links in the show notes so people know how to connect with you.
Cool. Yeah. My email is jamie@the360method.co. I didn't forget the M. And on Instagram, I'm jfitcharlotte, and the 360 method is my business page. And then Hygge Fit is spelled Hygge. Hygge. It's, we'll get there.
But
Hygge, and then it's Hygge Fit. And I'm on their IG too. So you can reach out to me through DMs, emails, anything.
And tell us what the workouts at Huga Fit, because there,
Yeah.
a lot's going on there. You guys are growing, and I've been a member there, so people can jump right in, right?
Yeah. It's something we plan to open this 2020. April 4th was supposed to be day one. And then we got slapped in the face with the good old COVID. So then we were put on the back burner for a little bit and then just started outdoor workouts. And now we're operating inside safely with masks currently, but hopefully we'll see what happens after that. But yeah, morning, noon classes, evening classes. Come with John at noon. He's a 12:15er.
Boom, let's go.
And you're accepting people who've just been sitting on Zoom for the last year and a half.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That is,
Yes.
we are big on that. And we're not like this place that you have to be a certain level to come.
I don't have to get fit to go to you.
No,
Perfect.
that actually that drives me nuts. When people
Yeah.
just say like, I want to come to your gym, but I
not
need to
ready.
work out more.
That's
Like,
right.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
You'll have to deal with me yelling a lot and clapping, though.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
It's okay.
Very
I love
used
it.
to that.
It's assumed risk.
It's the best. It's the best.
Well, y'all, anything in closing? I'll just, for me, this has been an absolute treat to,
Thank you.
get to know you more, even on our calls. And we hope our community and the world, we now have people in Singapore and Morocco and France who have, connected with us. And we think this
Amazing.
idea of, really that the collective is greater than individual self. We have to take care of ourselves, but we can really, grow when we see each other. So.
Yeah.
Shivani
Love
and
it.
Brandon.
I think for me, just the initial talk of being curious about people and wondering deeply about what they might be experiencing in their day-to-day life and having that sense of wonder, but then pursuing the question asking and really getting to know. I think that is such sound advice for so many different spaces. And so I
thank
appreciate that that's how you navigate the world.
Oh, thank you.
And I would just
Appreciate
say, keep doing exactly what you're doing.
Thank you.
One of your clients, I guess, said that you're an empath and you know exactly what people need, even if they didn't communicate or know it. And this quote that the planet does not need more successful people. I mean, I don't want to speak for Shivani and John, but I definitely needed to hear that over the course of these 2 weeks. So I just think you're doing exactly what you should be doing. And the fact that we somehow connected on this podcast with your grandfather, I just think you're walking in your purpose and just
you.
keep doing it.
Thank
we look
you
forward
so
to
much.
keeping posted, staying posted on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love that. Thank y'all for providing the space for me to talk and to share. And thank you for asking questions that bring things out of people. That's important. Thank you.
We invite you to continue making room with us. You'll find this episode and all of our exciting and meaningful conversations on Apple, Spotify, or really anywhere you choose to listen to podcasts.
Join the Making Room movement and get more info at makingroomwithus.com or follow us on Instagram at Making Room With Us.
Thank you for showing up for us and each other. Until next time.
You are wonderful and full of truth, just as you are. You are wonderful, so full of truth, just as you are. Oh. You are wonderful, so full of truth, just as you are, just as you are. You're welcome here, just as you are.